Morning, boys. How are we? Dress-ups.
Yes. Have you a fancy dress history, any Mad Monday sort of thing? Do you care to put it out there right now, Cameron? Is there any evidence floating around? Is there a skeleton in the closet that had Cameron
I hope
Smith
not.
dressed up as Steve Irwin or something like that?
Vossi, I hope there's no pictures out there on the internet about it. But no, there's been a couple. There's been a couple of dress-ups. It was part of the whole Mad Monday thing, right? In the era that I come through, that you had to come dressed up, because if you didn't, there was some sort of punishment. So threw together a couple of ensembles. I think remember Charlie and the Chocolate Factory? You know, the Oompa Loompas?
Oompa Loompas?
I was an Oompa Loompa. I went as an Oompa Loompa one day. Although I think that was around I think that was around the little people. Yes, that was around the same time that I was playing alongside Matt Orford and Nathan Thren. Maybe they should have come as Oompa Loompas rather than me. That would have been much more suited given their stature. But yeah, a couple of times. I'm not huge on it, though, I must admit.
No, that's good. That's good to hear. That is nice to hear.
Not convincing me. I think
Okay,
there's a little more to it, but we'll go another day, because we've got lots of serious topics to talk about, haven't we, Brandy?
We have. Well, let's wind the clock back to Friday night. Storm Dolphins. Great game. You know, we've spoken about split rounds and how Origin affects the NRL competition, and yes, there was examples of that, in particular the South Manly game. But Storm Dolphins, cracking game. Yeah,
it was one of the best games I've seen in a few seasons, not just this year, Brandy. Particularly the way that the Dolphins fought back, and it looked like it was going to go to golden point there right at the end of the match. But the Storm, they just keep finding a way to win, don't they? And again, they weren't clinical. They didn't look crisp at all throughout the entire match. But they just come up with some big plays when it was needed. I can't remember the last game that I've watched where I've seen so many long-range tries. So it was just incredible, like from both sides. And you got to remember, like you got to take your hat off to the Dolphins. They were extremely brave. Like they lost Jack Bostock within the first 5 or 6 minutes.
Yep.
So they had a bit of a reshuffle there where they had to. Ewan Aiken moved out into the back line. Herbie Farnworth went to the wing, which I think really it had a huge effect on his performance.
Yeah. He didn't
look himself, did he?
He got a lesson in playing wing from Will Warbrick. You know, didn't look himself.
No, so I think that obviously didn't help their cause. But again, like you said, Brenny, during this Origin period, you know, a lot of people sort of think, it has a huge effect on the comp, and we don't see great football. But both sides were missing a couple of the big names, but they turned out they put on a bit of a to start the round.
By the way, lots of people can't move on from the dress-ups with you, Cameron. A lot of people saying you dress up in a referee's outfit. It did for years in your career. You got a little referee shirt hidden away.
Shirt.
Never.
Yeah, when you're out on the ride-on mower, out comes the referee shirt. Is that right?
No way.
Okay,
no.
all right.
That's one outfit that I'll never be putting on, I don't think.
Cameron, big question this morning. Let's move on to the second game from the weekend. Titans-Warriors. Brandy has the red felt pen poised. He took the lid off, but hasn't yet crossed out the Warriors. Can a team concede?
Oh, they're gone.
66. You've got them gone? You've got them gone?
Done.
Well, no. Well, that's what I was saying to Brandy. Are they gone?
Close
Brandy,
to it. As close as you can come to putting the line through. I just haven't implemented that yet.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It was surprising, right? Because I thought, I know they lost the week before against Melbourne, but I thought there were some pretty good signs throughout that match. But then they turned up yesterday, on the weekend, and they just didn't look like they wanted to be there, right from the get-go. Like to concede 66 points, like at one stage there, well, they nearly did it for the whole match, right? The Titans, they were scoring pretty much every 5 minutes throughout that game. They were putting the ball across the line, you know, and just like the line breaks and some of the missed tackles and all that sort of stuff. Like that's an attitude thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
You just want to be there, and you want you want to have an impact on the game, not just when you have the footy and things are going your way. So that's not great. That's not great from them. They really haven't. And I know they've battled injury, but nearly every other team has had to deal with that this year. But they look a shadow of the team they were last year.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Well, but still getting the sellout. Still getting the sellout. Like the sellout, it's already locked in.
Yeah, but that might slow down. But there hasn't. But the impact of the 66, that they're already sold out for the Broncos game. Yeah. So that hasn't impacted the crowd. If they don't put a good performance in against the Brisbane team, well, maybe the sellout crowd, the days of the sellout crowd are over. I'm hoping not. No. I'm hoping not. Cameron, just this one from Powerball. He says, has New South Wales unearthed their next number 14 for State of Origin with Tyran Wishart? It's not a bad shout. Very, very versatile and playing well.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, no, I spoke to him after the game, actually. And look, you know what? Like, he's a guy that's he's really, really grateful to be playing first grade. Excuse me. And he's a really hard worker. You know, I was talking to Craig Bellamy as well, and he said, mate, like, I've got a couple of really good ones here at the moment, like young fellas that are just willing to learn and they work hard and, you know, they just want to be a part of it. So Tyran, I think he's been incredible. Like the last couple of weeks, no Cameron Munster. Everyone sort of started to, you know, get a little bit nervous about what would happen with the Storm this year, you know, with the Cameron Munster groin injury. But Tyron's been able to just slot in there and play so well. Like, he's played dummy half, he's played in the outside backs, like, he's played all over the shop, and he's just a young kid he's happy to be out there playing footy, and whatever opportunity he gets from Craig Bellamy, he's going to have a red-hot crack at it. So I've been super impressed with him. I love his running game. That's what I really love the most out of, you know, what he's doing with Melbourne at the moment, playing in the halves. The last couple of weeks, I think he's averaged, it's like 140 or 150 running metres as a half. So when your 7 and 6s are doing that, like, you know, you've got a dangerous footy side.
Cameron, just on the coaches, so we've played a salty Ricky Stewart today. We've played a despondent Andrew Webster. At what point, and they're different positions on the ladder, like the Raiders are still on 18 points, and 18 points is equal with the team running 6th, but at what point do you make changes to rattle a team, or, you know, to shake things up? Like, we've put the microscope on Adam Fanua-Blake today with the Warriors, 70 running metres. You know, it's just nowhere near good enough. Like, when do you actually push a button? Is it like, you can't wait till it's too far gone, can you? There's no point waiting
that's right.
a month and they lose. How do you get a reaction from a team? It's a difficult one for a coach. Yeah,
well, it is, because, you know, like, we don't see the day-to-day stuff, right? So there might not be anything in particular that's standing out to the coaches with their preparation. So they might be training their house down day to day. We don't see that. All we see is when they roll out on game day, right, and play their 80 minutes. And if they get it wrong, they get it wrong. And that's why you see some coaches in the press conference afterwards, and they're baffled, right? They're lost for words. They say, I didn't see this coming. Don't know why the result is what it is. But when it happens, you know, regularly or on a consistent basis, so like Canberra, for instance, they got touched up by the Cowboys last week, and now they come out and they weren't really in the game. Ricky said as much, didn't he, in his post-match presser? He just said, like, we're not a tough team. The scoreline tonight really doesn't show how badly we were beaten or how poor we were. So I think that's when you got to be a little bit more concerned. When you're turning in consecutive poor efforts, that's when I think some changes need to be made. But at the same time, it's a fine line. If you're making wholesale changes, what effect does that have on your footy side? Is it going to improve your footy side? So it's the art of making sure that you're making changes at the right time, and if you actually make changes, are they the right ones?
Yes, a lot to think about. Morning, boys. Wishart is playing really well, as is Grant Anderson. Two great young fellas getting a go at the Storm this year. Warriors are gone. No team has ever conceded 66 to the Titans and won the comp. That's true.
Great stat.
And continuing with the dress-up theme, the Warriors dressed up as an NRL team on the weekend.
Oh, jeez.
Well,
Harsh.
Well, they have to cop it. They do have to cop it. Now, Cameron, let's get on to the State of Origin focus. It's just gone so quiet. Can't you, as a former player, come out and say something outrageous this morning? Like in the next
I thought I just heard Cam whisper. Was there a whisper?
Yeah.
Did Cameron just say that New South Wales are the worst team he's ever seen?
Cameron,
no.
Can you get a headline?
Boys.
No, but are you advised not to say anything, or what's happened to the good old days?
I know.
No, listen. Hey, listen. No. Look, I've been involved in a fair few Origins, and I can't remember ever coming out with anything outlandish, Vossi. So no, we're just the Queenslanders. We're just going about our thing up here. Happy with our team's preparation. There was a couple of shots fired early, wasn't there, with the whole glass houses thing?
The coaches,
but
the coaches.
But since then, it's gone underground.
I don't know whether
what are they doing?
Well, can Charlie pull out the Jake Trbojevic quote? This is where we're at. Jake, who, he's the New South Wales captain, but he's the nicest man in the world, Cameron.
He is, yeah.
He seriously, he makes the Pope look second rate. I mean, Jake Trbojevic is just a lovely man. So when he was asked to, talk about the controversy, about the glass houses, and do you think, Michael Maguire, Billy Slater, Jake went down a rabbit hole. Have a listen to Jake. This is the captain just steering clear of controversy. Have a listen.
Extremely passionate guy, Madge, and he's a great leader. He's a great guy to play under, so, yeah, I think he's been passionate, yeah.
Do you think Queensland probably interpreting it as an attack on Billy Slater? Do you think that's what he's trying to do?
Attack Billy? No, I don't think so. I don't know. I just think he's extremely passionate for the Blues and just, I don't know. I actually don't really know what it is, for being honest.
That is the least controversial statement ever.
So good.
The truck reverse lights are on. Beep, 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 just reversing away from controversy.
You could hear the nerves in his voice. He's just like, I want nothing to do with this. I don't want to make any comment around what the coach has said. I don't want to be a part of it. Oh, he's a funny man.
Yeah, well, there you go. So you're getting nothing. You get nothing of the fire. That is so far removed from a Paul Gallen. So it's dead and buried. War of words are dead and buried, Cameron. Is it fair to say that that's now gone?
Yeah, I think
so well trained, as in the players are so well trained these days, you just don't get anywhere near it.
No, I think so, mate. No, I think so. And they're told, hey, boys, just keep it generic, keep it boring. Which is, I guess for the fans, you want a little bit of, you want some fire thrown over the fence, to the opposition and see what gets returned. But yeah, I think those days might be gone, I reckon.
If you were still, what worries you about the game, Queensland side of things, Cam? If you were up against this, if you were still involved in the Origin setup, and what would be a concern?
Well, I just think a couple of the individuals. I think it's a more dangerous footy side this time, Brandy. With look at the inclusion of Moses and I guess Latrell Mitchell. He hasn't played centre for a little bit, but he's just one of those guys that he could turn up and have a 8 or 9 out of 10 game, and that'll make it on the field, and it could be the difference for New South Wales, and it's what they needed. I look back to game 1, right, and I still. Not nervous, but I just wary, given, they lost Suaalii at the 7th minute. And then you look at the early exchanges of the second half, they were only down by 10 points. They were well and truly in it. They nearly scored a try, and if they score there, they go down possibly by 4 points, and they're well and truly in the match. So, they're a tough football side. They showed that in game 1 to hang in there as long as they did. Look, they just ran out of steam at the end, because they did so much work with 12 men for pretty much the entire game, and Queensland scored 2 and 3 tries late. But look, they're a tough footy side, and now they've added a couple of pretty dangerous individuals. And if it all comes together for them on Wednesday night, it's a pretty potent footy side to play against.
Yep.
All right, Cameron, pretty amazing statement. Now, this text to take to the news break, Cameron, I bet you never thought you were going to get a text like this when you moved into the media.
Yes.
This one, have a listen. This is from Connor. It says, "G'day, boys. My 2-week-old son, Flynn, must be a fan of Cameron's segment. For the last 2 Mondays, he poops in his nappy, but doesn't cry when Cameron's segment is on. He's willing to wait until the end of the segment before he wants his nappy changed. Flynn says that he thinks Cameron is cool." Now, I don't think we've ever had a text like that, but that's a new parent making an observation of his little son, Flynn. So he poops but doesn't cry when you're on. He'll wait until the end of the segment, Cameron.
So you gravitate to anything where the baby doesn't cry, don't you?
Yeah.
So if you get something that works, you stick with it.
Podcast.
Yes, stick with
that's
it.
right.
Podcast
Just never
of this
ending.
segment is on loop with the little Flynn. So well done, Cameron. You've achieved something
thank you.
post-career. You are the
Excellent.
baby whisperer.